Hi, this is Shane with the Social Freedom Tribe. Today I wanted to come at you with a video on how to just enjoy your life if you are a worker bee. So like how to get out of that anxiety and stress that the worker bee types really put on themselves. So what I've found is that the worker bee types, they're so goal oriented that they just really have a goal and they want to drive towards it. And even if you tell them anything like what I'm saying now, if they're listening to this video, they're like, of course, that's what you're supposed to do in life. And that's fine if that's how people want to live life. But there's a way that we can go towards these same goals in a less stressful manner. So if you want to follow along, we can do a little exercise right now. So let's take a goal right now that you have, that you're just feeling some stress around. And just think a moment about this goal or thing that you want that you're just feeling stress around because going towards it is stressful. I'll awkwardly be here for a moment while you think. Okay, hopefully that was enough time. So now, if you take that same goal and like really when you're thinking about it, you feel like the stress, this anxiety about like, oh, I need to go this and do that for it, and there's like all this pressure to achieve it. Well, what if, as a thought experiment, we actually we made that goal harder, so hard that it's actually impossible to do. So like let's say I had a goal of in 5 days I want to get 40 participants, and because it's doable I'm like feeling stressed because like, oh, I'd have to do all this and this and this, and it's kind of stressful. But what if I picked a goal that was so like the same direction as that goal but so impossible that it was just impossible. I knew I wouldn't be able to do it. And if you're thinking, oh, maybe I could do it, like make it even harder so that until those thoughts go away. So like let's say I chose 20,000 participants in a couple days. And I'm like already, when I have that goal, I'm already relaxed because I know I can't do it. I mean, it's just straight up impossible. And now we can like think of that goal and like, because there's no pressure, because we know we're just going to fail, we can just relax. So take a moment and just take that same type of goal, and there'll be other steps to this, so I would really challenge you to like try this on if you're willing. So like take that same goal and like, look, what's an impossible version of that? And I'll just give you a moment. Cool. Now that we have this impossible version of it, that no matter what we work on or no matter what we do, it won't work and we won't get there, we can actually start this whole thought experiment, like find some creative ways to really enjoy going towards this task. So now that like, let's say you actually want to move towards this task and you're going to come up with tasks to do to go towards this goal or this thing that you want. And knowing that you will never get it, and knowing that you won't achieve it, then we can actually start looking at the tasks themselves and say, is there a way we can get value from the tasks themselves? Not in a way that's like, oh, I learned this, like I learned marketing or something like that. Not really. Yes, there's an element of like mastery and like learning that's important, but what I mean is there a way that we can get value out of it in a way that's we're enjoying doing the task? Like it's strange that people might enjoy watching TV or just find pleasurable stimulation from television, but they're refusing to make their work life fun. Like it has to be stressful. Like, you can't just do the same tasks but find a little way to make it fun and get twice the amount of work done. So let's actually like look at like, now that the fact that this goal is impossible, what are the tasks or the things that we could do to move towards this goal that are fun, and enjoyable, and like we can just enjoy our lives doing these tasks. Like if I was going to get 20,000 participants, and like if I thought about tasks that are just enjoyable and fun that goes towards this goal that's impossible, I would probably just start thinking about telling important people about my passion, and like getting that elevator speech down and just going up to important people talking about it. Maybe I would go up to my friends and do like thought idea bouncing off of like them, like bounce off ideas from them. There's like things that would just be like fun tasks that I could do, knowing that this goal is impossible. I could start really like looking at creative ways to make it fun to go towards it. And so like what I'm wanting for these worker bee types to like really start enjoying their lives, drop the stress, drop the social anxiety, is by taking those same goals like that are doable, and then taking the same way of doing it, like taking the pressure off and finding a way to enjoyably go towards that goal rather than stressfully like, oh, I need to go towards it by doing this and this and this. Like we can like see like, oh yeah, if I sat down for 48 hours and I just read a marketing book, like yeah, I would know marketing by then. But then when we sit down and we're actually trying to do this task of sitting there for 48 hours and we're just like memorizing and stuff like that, I would probably feel stressed about like 10, 20 minutes in, and I would just have to take a break, and then I would be so filled with stress that my impulsive mind would take over, my conscious prefrontal cortex would turn off, and I would just be eating sugar and watching television in a way that was just like zombified, because I just filled my body with stress because of I was like looking for a really stressful way of doing it. But if I can like find ways that are fun and enjoyable, like maybe I could read in a way that's fun. Maybe I could maybe there's no way of actually changing the material that I need to learn to like be fun. Maybe there's no way. I mean, there could be possible ways of like writing down, like being creative and having a fun thought experiments from what I'm learning. But like, what if there was just we couldn't think of anything and we just had to read this book? Well, can we control our environment? Can I go to a fun place to do the same task in? So it's like there's some controllable variables that we can like look at. We don't actually have to be in a library to study. We can be in a dog park, and we can hear all these joyous barks of dogs playing around while we're studying economics or whatever we're doing. We could take these same stressful tasks, and if we just looked at it under the microscope of how can I make this more enjoyable and how can I make all of my tasks more enjoyable, we would feel less stress. We wouldn't have this impulsive part of our brain taking over more often, and we could start to get more into a flow state. We can start being more creative. And when I'm pitching my ideas or when I'm trying to find participants, if I'm in a state of stress and I hate my life, why would people want to follow me anyway? Why would people want to go to this event where the leader is stressed out and he hates his life? Like I want to enjoy my life. Why? Okay, whatever you're leading me to, if you hate your life, I'm out. I'm pushing you away. And it's the same thing. It's like when I see people when I see men trying to flirt with women, it's like there's this goal to it, and which is not completely bad. It's not that it's completely bad. It's just that the tasks towards that goal, that man doesn't find enjoyable. He's not doing the task for the task itself, for the enjoyment that he can get from the task. He's doing it because he believes that if he is unhappy now and he does these unhappy things, that there's always happiness in the future, and it's always in the future, and it's always in the future, and I need to get something from this person. I need to get something. I need to get something. And then it's constant. And instead, if we can just keep looking at these tasks that go towards that goal and make those more enjoyable, it will less be attached to achieving that goal. And people like to think that if we make the task more enjoyable, that people will feel less inclined to go and achieve that goal. It's not really true. It's actually, what I found is that when I do a version of the task that I don't fill my body with stress and all that, I can get 3 times to 10 times as much done as the person who does fill themselves with stress. Plus, I don't burn out. I just never burn out. Like when people are like, they see me not drinking, they see me not eating cake, they see me not watching TV, they see me not playing video games, all these ways of like using stimulants to find happiness because they can't find happiness themselves. They're like, oh, you're not having fun or something like that. And I'm just like, it's crazy that you think that, because my whole life is fun. Every task that I do, I have a drum set right here, and I love finding new rhythms and finding new ways. I don't take the drum set and do it in a stressful way of practicing. I have to practice like this. Like, no, I have fun ways of doing it. Take the drum set for an example. I have ways of finding drumless YouTube videos where I drum over them, and it's just fun. It's like a jamming kind of way, and I just keep switching genres with this drumless YouTube videos, and I might do techno music, house music, whatever, and I'll just find ways. I mean, like, I enjoy the music, and I can find a fun beat. Oh, I can practice this. Maybe I'll turn off the music and just practice this like weird thing that I just figured out, and maybe I'll like record it and just like tweak it and like look at it on a piece of paper and like really like theoretically figure out, maybe I'm like, that theory will lead me to something else and I'll research that. Like, there's so many things that when I just like find this task, like if I like do this enjoyable thing of like playing over the drumless, maybe like there's another way, a creative insight that comes, because these creative insights don't really come from a place of like when your body's full of stress. It's like the only thoughts that you really have when your body's full of stress are just like, am I good enough, or like, what should I do, and like there's all this fear and stress and just like tightness and what's the right thing to say and all of these things. But when I'm coming from a place of just like, I first of all, I meditated and just like relaxed my body, and my body just feels good, and then I'm doing this task that's enjoyable, so I'm doing this task that doesn't fill my body with stress back up. There's this creative part of my brain that pops up, and maybe I'm like, I really practiced for a long time this thing, and then my creative insight comes up and it's like, whoa, what if you wrote down what you just played on paper and you like really looked at it? And then I'll do that, and it's just fun. It's just like a fun way of doing it. Now I see it on paper and I have these creative insights. Oh, now that I look at it, I can like see it visually, and I can modify this and this and this. Ooh, I just like, I have something that I'm curious about, and then I start researching that thing I'm curious about, and then I learn something new that I wouldn't have known before if I didn't go through these tasks and that are enjoyable for me. And yes, there's a way that it's like, oh, if I just follow the tasks that are enjoyable, maybe I won't go towards the goal. That's true. There's a way that we have to find the tasks that we really do need to do to get that done. But at the same time, we don't have to hold this belief that it has to be hard, that it has to be stressful. There's a way that we can actually find these tasks and modify the variables, do it in a place that's fun, or do it with people, or instead of answering it myself, maybe I can find the person that knows the answer to this and either hire them as like a mentor or something. There's something creative that we can do if we just drop the belief, the mindset that it has to be hard, that it has to be stressful. So I'm really calling out to all those worker bee types out there. I'm a worker bee type as well. I love working, and I love going towards these goals, and I think life is something that it sucks if somebody just gives up on life and doesn't really go towards anything. I love going towards these things. I'm a very goal-oriented person. And at the same time, I love the tasks that go towards that goal. So I'm not stressing myself out. I'm finding ways of doing these same tasks, and it's a muscle we have to work on, because it's actually hard to find creative ways of making that same task fun, like studying. Studying sucks. But is there a way that we can make it fun? Is there a way that we can make homework fun? Like, I remember when I was in college and I really started actually looking at, why am I procrastinating on my homework? And it was because I just waited until my stress levels were so high and my anxiety was so high that was what was driving me. Like, basically, if somebody's sitting on a nail, it's like they don't want to get up until the nail just hurts so much that they have to get up. it was like that, and I was like, that sucks. Is there a way that I can solve procrastination? And so I started looking at like, why am I procrastinating? And it's because really there's nothing driving me to get it done early. There's only something driving me to get it done when it was like last second, and I didn't have a choice. My brain turned off, and I was like, okay, it's like that question of should I do it? Should I not do it? Should I do it? Oh, there's all these other options, and it would stress me out. So I just picked the other options that were just more fun. But is there a way that I can make that same task fun, like studying, getting my homework done early? So I started really looking at it, and I said, well, maybe I'm just trying to bite off more than I can chew, and maybe I can actually just start looking at what's the first step of this task, and then sit down and like do that. So it's like take the book out of my bag and sit down. Okay, I did that. And it's like a way that it's like, okay, if I do that task, I can stop. And I tell myself that. I can stop at any point. So I take the book out, I sit down, easy. Then I open to the page with the first problem on it, easy. And each time I tell myself like, oh, I'm just going to open the page to do this, to like look at the problem, I say I could stop after that. So it's just like I have these ways of telling myself like, oh, you have to do all this stuff, and then I get so stressed out that I just never do it until it's just too late. Like I find ways to make it fun and make it easier and break down the task into tiny steps and say like, can I just do this today? Can I just do this right now? And so I started doing these little tasks, and I find ways to make it fun because at this point it's right after the homework was given out, so I have more than a week to do it, and there's a way that it's like it's just stress-free, and it feels good to do the homework when there's no stress. And so then I'm doing these tasks and stuff like that, and I'm just finding little ways of like, hey, actually I'm on this kitchen table, and I kind of want to just sit outside, and that would be fun just to be outside. And I don't even have to do the homework. I could just take my homework outside, and it could just be next to me while I'm outside. And so I go outside, and I relax, and I just have fun, and I'm seeing these great sights, and then I just do the task a little bit at a time. And I'm just modifying, and like I'm slowly learning ways of making it fun and all of that. And then when I learned when I get the homework done early, actually I have more understanding at the class, and I can sit at the front, I can answer more questions. It's kind of more fun to like oh, I figured this out early, and this teacher is still teaching the same topic, and I learned it because I got the homework done early. So I'm gonna and I answer questions. It's fun. The teacher loves me. The other students are seeing that guy knows the answers, and they come to me. So now I have people. I'm done with the homework, and I have people coming up to me asking me questions and like saying like, hey, can you help me with this question? So like I've already solved this thing, and I can help these other students with the homework. And so I don't do it in a way that's like, oh yeah, I'm going to give you the answer. I do it in a way that's like, I'm going to take you through this process of how I found the answer. Hey, look at this. Like, and I hear them, like, I like, just tell me your thoughts right now about this problem. They tell me their thoughts, and I'm like, ooh, look at this. And I'm just pointing to something that like they're kind of missing, and I'm like, look at this, look at this. And like I'm just giving them the process rather than like having to do the work myself. Like it's just like a fun way of like, I've done the work, and now I'm gonna help this person. And then it's crazy. All these students throughout the week just come up to me, and especially like right before, because everybody procrastinates, they're really coming up to me like, and I'm giving them my process of like, not the answers, but the process of how I solved it. I'm like, oh, look at this chapter, look at this, and like, look at this. And now, first of all, because I get to see them like going through it, I'm actually learning, oh, I actually got that question wrong, and I get to redo it. So now I'm getting hundreds on my homework, and it's just like an upward spiral. And now I've re-gone through every homework. If I do that with every single homework, I get to that knowledge so in my head that the tests are easy, because the tests are just on the homework and the quizzes and stuff like that. I get the quizzes done easy, the tests done easy. I don't really have to study. Like I don't need to study, and I can be there with other people while they're studying, and they're like, I don't remember this, and something like that. And the fact that with every single homework I went through it like 20 different times, because I went through it with 20 different people, I can help people study, and I feel of use. I feel smart. Like people are telling me I'm smart. The teacher likes me, and there's these opportunities because actually like there's projects that come up and they say like, hey Shane, I would love your help on this project, and I'm I'm adopting this new like mindset or this new identity that I'm actually smart, and it's really new and it's really mind blowing, and my ego is changing and stuff like that. Now I have more confidence. Now I have more self esteem. And really, like, there's this just upward spiral that keeps happening. And whatever your task is, if you find ways to make it more enjoyable, get it done early, and then like just really have this passion around it, you'll be just really blown away by what happens. Because that's when our creative mind just comes and like gets unlocked, and it finds ways to go towards this goal that, like, the same goal is like, okay, you have to do X, Y, and Z, versus you're finding ways to make X fun. Then X turns into X2, and it's a completely different route that you weren't seeing before because it was just your logical, stressed out, oh, I can't wait to get this task done early so I can veg out on TV and get this pleasurable coping mechanism done. Well, it's like we hate our lives, and like, there's a way that we can do that same task and it's fun, and then we have other ways of like doing the same task and getting even better, and we're just in wonder of like, I wonder what happens if I do this. I wonder what happens if I get my homework done early. I wonder what happens if I write down this drum beat. I wonder what happens if I practice my elevator speech. I wonder what happens if I do this. And then now we have this new skill set that was just kind of like optional, and like our creative minds were like, whoa, and we're just following it because it's fun. And then we have more, and we have more, and we have this extra credit stuff. And now we don't go the whole logical black and white gray zone. Like we're following this gray zone of what to do to get this task done, rather than this black and white, oh, you have to do this and this and this and hate your life. We're feeling good in our bodies. We're not getting that same anxiety and stress that other people have. And this is important because how we do one thing is how we do everything. And what I see when I'm out in a bar or a club is I see these worker bee types, and they're making socializing the same thing as their work. And they're saying, I have a goal. I need to sleep with this girl. I need to make this girl my girlfriend or my wife, or I need this girl's phone number. And then it's just like, how could I not enjoy the task and like hate myself and just like see her as the thing, like she's now my coping mechanism. I'm just going to stress myself out, not feel good in my body, and then I'm going to use you as a coping mechanism. Yeah, who wants to be somebody else's coping mechanism? Who wants to be that person that's like, oh, this person relies on me for happiness? Great. Yeah, I love when people just rely on me for happiness, and I have to do exactly as they say in order for them to be happy, and I have to be frozen in like, my identity is now like, okay, now what else? Now what would pleasure you? Oh, now what would pleasure you? Oh, I have to like constantly be this person's coping mechanism. As if anybody wants to do that. Like, why would somebody want to be with somebody who's stressing themselves out so that they can get you? Like, in what reality does that work? What's better is when we enjoy the task and we have an idea of what we want to go towards, and like, hey, I want your number, and it would be okay if you didn't want to give it to me. I feel good either way. I feel really good in my body, and you can like ask it and dance and do all these things that are just really fun and feel good in your body, rather than, how do I get it? How do I get it? How do I get it? And like looking for the light at the end of the tunnel for your whole life, and like all these coping mechanisms and just feeling stress in your body. This is where these worker bees make the mistake, and this is why they get into social anxiety. Like, what I've seen at bars and stuff like that is these worker bee types, they're not dancing. Like, when they're not talking to people, they're not dancing. They're not having fun. They're not having great conversation with their friends. They're looking around. I gotta find somebody. Gotta find somebody. And they're like stressing themselves out. Yeah, gotta find somebody. Gotta find somebody. And then they finally like, they hate themselves so much, the nail hurts so much, they finally walk up to a girl and they're like, hey, and then the girl freaks out and they run away, and they're like, okay, I gotta keep working on this, I gotta keep working on this, I gotta keep working on this. It's like, or you can look at why she was freaked out and ran away, because it's just like, gotta work on this, gotta go to the next one, gotta go to the next one. And I see this constantly, and it's like, it's like, there's a better way of like, oh, dance, enjoy my life, fun conversations, bam, hey, how's it going? It's like if I'm looking at the camera right now, which would feel better to you? I'm walking up and like, hey, how's it going? I'm Shane. Or, hey, how are you? Hey, I'm Shane. Where are you going? No, come here. Stay here. Stay here. Yeah. How are you? Yeah. What's your phone number? Yeah. I want to call you like every day next week. I wanna call you every single day, and I want you have to pick up. Like, which one feels better? Like, hey, what's your number? Like, let's chill. Like, let's hang out. It's okay if you don't want to. I mean, don't feel obliged. Or, yeah, what's your number? I'm gonna call you every day, and you better answer. Like, which one's better? The person that, like, me forcing you to be my coping mechanism, or I feel fun and I'm inviting you into this. Anyways, thought experiment for the worker bee types. Is there a way we can take that same goals and make the tasks enjoyable and fun so that we can unlock our creative minds and really go towards this same thing in a way that we'll have insights and we'll get 10 times the amount done? Love y'all, and I hope you really take this to heart. Peace.